Good morning. Well, I'm here at a kissing gate, which is at the entrance to Coundon Hall Park on Waste Lane near the Brownshill Green Road junction. This used to be an ungated access point to the park, and it was accessible for mobility scooters and wheelchair users, for at least 7 months of the year. The non-winter months, they could quite easily get through here. It wasn't a hard standing path, it wasn't tarmacked out there. This was all mud, but as I say, in the summer months, 6-7 months of the year, it was fine. Obviously in the winter, if you're familiar with the park, it becomes very waterlogged. Mud paths become mud baths, not accessible. As this was one of only 2 accessible and safe entrances to the park for mobility scooter users, we've challenged this decision to install a kissing gate, which mobility scooters can't get through, wheelchair users can't get through this one. It's a very small one, and I doubt a pushchair would even get through that. We challenged it. So what's the rationale behind this decision? Because obviously blocking access for disabled people is not acceptable. The council have got back to us. They said an assessment was carried out, and because the ground outside of the kissing gate, which is now tarmacked and leads to a well-established tarmac path, that was mud, and because it was mud, they deemed that this entrance was inaccessible for mobility scooters and wheelchairs. Now, to be fair, if that assessment took place in the winter months when the ground was waterlogged, that's an honest mistake, and I can accept that. There's obviously perhaps a training issue, to take into consideration what the ground would be like in the summer. Even though it's a mud path, if the ground is firm, scooters and wheelchairs can go over it. So we can accept that as an explanation. In terms of why it was installed, it's to prevent motorcycle incursions to the park, and the fence was installed as well. Now, obviously, motorcycle incursions and the threat of illegal traveller encampments, they require some deterrence. Everyone accepts that, no issue with that. But then you need to maintain accessibility for disabled people. Are motorcycles damaging football pitches? Yeah, it's an issue. But what's more important? Access for some of the most vulnerable people in society, or preventing motorbikes getting onto a park. And I know that's a difficult thing to balance, but there are alternatives to these things, more acceptable, that don't impede access. So the upshot is the council have proposed to install another kissing gate to replace this, but this kissing gate is supposedly an accessible one. It will have a slider which is operated by a radar key. It's padlocked. Disabled users who have radar keys put that in, unlock a padlock, move a slider along, and the gate will open beyond the normal range. It will open fully, so a wheelchair or a scooter wouldn't need to go into that, that little area there. It will be able to pass straight through. In theory, that sounds good. Now, there is one of these gates already in the park at the Tamworth Road car park. Now, Ava's never used it. She has no reason to use it. There's no requirement on her daily sort of park runs to go through it. So we've got hold of a radar key, and we're going to check it out. Now, personally, I don't think it will be successful. I've said that to Ava, but Ava's fiercely determined. She's very positive about trying it. If you tell Ava you can't do something, that makes her doubly determined to succeed. And I don't like the thought of any section of our society having to carry a key, a special key, to access a green space in the city. Able-bodied people don't need to carry keys. LGBT community don't need to carry a special key. BAME communities don't need to carry a special key. So why should disabled people carry a special key? That's not good in my opinion. However, if Ava can successfully negotiate the gate we're going to visit, then perhaps I'll change my mind. So we'll join you en route to that gate. So we're making our way to the Tamworth Road car park, As you can probably see, we're approaching what's called a motorcycle inhibitor. Now I think there are 3 of these installed on the car park. Let's see how Ava gets on going through this. She comes. And safely through, no problem. So that's a good example of a deterrent to motorbikes that is still accessible for mobility scooters, wheelchair users. And there's another one. Okay, this is the approach to the kissing gate. That looks very narrow up there, very narrow. Hold on a sec, let me go through, see if you can actually fit through here. Wow, this is actually a holly bush. Now I'm walking through, that's brushing against my arms, and there's a metal fence there. Crikey. So this is the accessible kissing gate. I will go through. Hey look, you can walk round this kissing gate. Well, look at that. So people have just made a path around it to not even use it. Come here, Maisie. Okay, Ava, if you want to come, I'll film you trying to negotiate this. Should be straightforward. She's got a radar kick. Oh, are you brushing against the holly bush? Oh, look at this. Are you okay? Crikey, that's ridiculous, isn't it? It's sighted right next to a holly bush. Well, I'm surprised that was signed off. Okay. Now, Ava's condition affects coordination and balance, and she shakes. She cannot walk unaided. You know, she needs to support. If she had to come off the scooter, she would need the scooter for support. So let's film this. Putting keys in for Ava, it's a lot trickier for her than it is for us, as you can see. Right, she's got that in. So what do we do now? Is it unlocked? Okay. Don't know if that's unlocked or not. Does the top bit come up? And of course, in cold weather, Ava would be wearing gloves because she's outside driving a scooter. No? Can't do it. Do you want to try again? And of course, normally if Ava's on her own, she'd have our 2 dogs to be managing. Oh, done it? No?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh right. Okay, that's good. So this isn't a self-closing gate, so this won't fall back on her and damage the scooter. This is supposed to come all the way out. But if I pull back, it should come out to this gate, and Ava should be able to pass through. So, after she's done the slider. Okay. Well, she's managed to do the slider. Let's see if you can push this. Did that come back on you? Let's see. Okay, she's having to use the scooter to nudge it over. This should come out fully to where that's supposed to come out fully to where I'm standing, to the post. What's up with that then? Let's have a go. Well, that's clearly not coming out. Let's see. No. Well, as you can see, this is clearly not working. So, not working. Let me come in. Wow. So, and that's closing back on her. Well, that's a disaster, isn't it? So having to get past and be assaulted by the holly bush. She's now managed to unlock it. How difficult was it to unlock it?
It's very hard.
It's very hard for her. Is there a precise... doing precise things like that are difficult with her condition. So we managed to unlock it. She managed to do the slider, but as you can see, this does not open fully, and when I let go it's self-closing back on her. So this is supposedly an accessible kissing gate that wheelchair users and mobility scooters can get through. And this is Ava's first experience of it. And that's a disaster, isn't it? That's a disaster. It doesn't even work. And that's less than 2 years old. And of course, to get to it, she's now got to reverse back to get out of here into a holly bush. This is disgraceful. This is disgraceful. I mean, who signed this off? And less than 50 metres away, you have motorcycle inhibitors that do the same job but are accessible, installed at the same time as this, less than 50 metres away. So why is it acceptable to put them in the car park and then put something like this here, which doesn't even work? And as you can see at the side, able-bodied people just bypass it and walk around it. So that's clearly something's gone majorly wrong there. And the proposal is to rectify the situation on Waste Lane, Brownshill Green, to remove that kissing gate and replace it with one of these. How's that going to work? Now she has to relock it. That's done. So she's just about managed to relock that, but you saw the difficulty she had. Well, that's took my breath away. And I say normally she has our 2 dogs, she has to manage them, keep her balance, keep the coordination, and then get through one of these. So why do Coventry Council think this is acceptable? There are other deterrents available for to deter motorbikes coming onto the park. You do not need these things. And this is, as I say, this is an accessible one. Come on, you're having a laugh. Well, we're approaching the accessible kissing gate again with making our way back down the park. So I guess in theory, although we've seen that the gate doesn't open out as it should on this side, I suppose going back it must open the other way. So we're going to see what happens this time. So it would come towards you, wouldn't it, if it's so as you can see, Ava's again having great difficulty with the padlock. And you can see the beeping from the scooter because of having to lean forward to do this. Oh! Just drop the key now. So I'll have to go and get that. So if she was on her own, she'd have to get off the scooter, sidle along. Shall we sort of demonstrate that, how unsafe that is? So Ava sort of can't walk unaided. She has to hold on to surfaces, or we have a walking frame in the house, we have sort of grip rails and things. She really struggles with her balance. So she's scrabbling about to retrieve the key. Well, there you go. This is what happens. That's part of her condition. You know, mobility scooter users, they're not the monolith. They've all got different medical conditions. And with Ava's condition, it's incurable, it's degenerative. She's had it since she was 14. Her life is hard enough without having to put up with things like this. And this is supposedly to make life easy for her. to deter a few motorbikes coming on the park? What's more important to you? A few motorbikes coming on the park, or putting a disabled person through this carry-on? It's disgraceful. Shh. Amazing. So I'm assuming if she just managed to actually open this, which looks unlikely, this gate should swing out this way and presumably stop in the bush. So whether there would be enough room for her to get through. And then of course, if she manages to do this, she would then have to reverse back and relock the gate. Now Ava is actually a really determined person. You know, I'm very proud of her determination. She doesn't like being mollycoddled and people helping her. So she does her best to be as independent as she can. Well, I'm speechless. So she's managed to do the padlock at last. And so do the slider, Ave. No, the other side. No, the handle's there. Oh, right, so she slid that. So this, no, and then push it out this way. Let's see if it will come. Wow! So that's just clattered into the scooter. So, no, that's self-closing. That's clearly not designed to go that way. So, we'll give up. Will you get through? As you see, that gate's closing on her. We've got the dogs as well. So is it going to close on them? I'll be on standby to catch it, Ava. You go through, I'll catch it so it doesn't hit the dogs. Okay, so and now she's negotiating the holly bush. So I'll come back, I'll lock this up and catch up with her. Well, I think that amply demonstrates that even though the council seems to consider these radar key operated kissing gates as an acceptable solution, look at the difficulty that has caused Ava. You know, this park, that's a big part of her independence. She can come here on her own. It's a big part of her mental health. She suffers from depression. I've suffered from depression in the past. You know, really, come on, this isn't acceptable. So here we are at Waste Lane. This is the main pedestrian entrance to Coundon Hall Park, and it's the only safe, accessible entrance for mobility scooter users and wheelchair users who travel through the park independently. If you travel by car, obviously there's 2 car parks. So you can cross the zebra crossing safely, which then brings you to this entrance. As you can see, it's unimpeded, so Ava can pass through easily. The path then runs out and you have to cross the car park. Now, as you can see today, we have one car parked here, but that car's not parked illegally, it's in the car park. That's the rest of the car park. We follow through, and then we come to the entrance of the park itself, which today is not blocked, but it is quite common for these entrances to be blocked because cars can park there. Therefore, we've asked the council to make a proper path from here to here, or, you know, place bollards or wooden poles to stop cars parking like this. Obviously today Ava was able to get past this, but often you get 2, 3, 4 cars parked, and there's even been cars parked right up against these posts. It's ridiculous. It's easily solved. Now, the council's response has been to say they may install some signs, they may look at other things, but basically they haven't committed to securing this area, to securing pedestrian access unimpeded by vehicles being parked here. I mean, it's not rocket science, that's easy to fix. So we're back at the car park, trying to get out of the car park, and as you can see, we have all these car parked blocking the entrance to the footpath. When we came in, there was just one over here, but now we've got 3 of them completely blocking the access. This is the way in. Now this is what we highlighted to the council, that this path, this entrance needs to be secured for pedestrians. Just put a few bollards down, because they're not parked illegally. They can park like this. The car park's full, you're using the park. So put some metal poles or bollards down, secure this area or a proper path. As you can see, Ava clearly cannot get through there. This is the only safe, accessible exit from the park. This is exactly what we highlighted to the council, and what they said in response was, oh, we might put some more signage up. What, saying no parking? Come on, they're not going to respect that, are they? Or they may consider other options. Well, look, you've got to take action. This is the only safe way that Ava can get into the park, and it's blocked. So the council, you're a disgrace. They're not parked illegally, they're perfectly entitled to park there, but that's wrong. You need to make this a secure pedestrian area. This happens every Sunday, Saturday morning.